Good morning and hello, and look, it's still dark outside if you look out the window. I am Kenny Polcaro, your host of the party, and today is Friday, October 15th, 2021. And what's going on? Markets are ablaze, right? Investors can't get enough of it. Everything goes higher yesterday. So you sit here and you have to ask yourself, issues? What issues? Don't be ridiculous. Earnings continue to beat on all lines, top line, the bottom line, the middle lines. Everything rallies. Everything rallies, right? OPEC tells Joey to relax. More supply is coming in January. Cryptos get 2 ETFs, ProShares and Invesco, coming next week. So Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of them are all surging. And what do we have for dinner tonight? We're going to have the veal cacciatore. Oh my God, that is so good. We'll get to that at the end though. Issues, like I said, what issues? Inflation, COVID, supply chain shortages, labor issues, threats of workers striking, which is only the latest threat to employment stability, right? John Deere and Kellogg, just two of those recent companies get hit with worker dissatisfaction. Political infighting, tapering, interest rates. Apparently none of it was an issue yesterday at all, as investors took stocks higher. Solid earnings are allaying fears that rising costs and supply chain issues will hit companies hard. Actually, won't hit companies hard. And that the whole stagflation issue, no one's paying attention to that either, right? What's stagflation? By the time the closing bell rang yesterday, the Dow added 534 points or 1.6%. S&P's up 75 points, 1.7%. Nasdaq up 250, 1.7%. The Russell up 32 points or 1.4%. And transports tacked on 235 points or 1.6%. The 10-year Treasury ended the day lower, yielding 1.51, and that only added fuel to the fire because declining Treasury yields are going to force money into stocks as investors search for opportunity. Gold up, silver up, natural gas up, and oil was up as the Saudis thumbed their nose at Joey, and Bitcoin and Ethereum were up as well. I mean, you can't make this story up. At 8:30 a.m., we got PPI, the Producer Price Index, which is a reading that details what producers have to pay for products that go into the production process, otherwise known as input prices. And while they were elevated, they were slightly below the estimates, which is suggesting, or at least that's what they're telling us, that while there is inflation, it's under control, nothing to worry about, versus being out of control. And then we got the jobless claims and continuing claims, both readings coming in better than expected. So guess what? It's all good, or at least that's what they told us yesterday. And then we have all the earnings reports that are so far beating all the lower estimates on all lines. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Citibank, U.S. Bank, Domino's Pizzas, Morgan Stanley. And that only added to the excitement, no matter that all the other issues are boiling on the back burner, right? They're not even simmering, they're boiling. And forward guidance is not downbeat at all. Because while earnings are better, they are history. You're not buying stocks yesterday based on what those companies reported for the last quarter. Because if you are buying them, then you're buying them for what you expect future performance to be. And because you like the story, you believe the story. If you told me that you're buying these names because they beat the estimates, I'd say wrong answer. Go back and try again. So I guess investors are happy with what they're hearing from the C-suite concerning what the future looks like. And that's why you should be buying stocks, right? Because you're interested in what the future looks like. What are they saying about growth, about prospects, about the economy? That's why you should be buying it. So what's interesting is that the supply chain issues and the labor shortage issues, while they're real, I mean, you just can't count the times that all the talking heads repeat these two phrases. Every one of them detailing what these issues mean for business, products, consumers, and the holidays. And while the media is doing a great job of instigating even more angst, investors push it all to the back burner. Not paying any attention to it at all. Not paying any attention to the warnings that the talking heads are screaming about. None at all. They'll talk about it. Nobody seems to care, apparently. If I hear one more person tell us that the shelves are empty or there's nothing to buy for the holidays, oh my God, what are my kids going to do? I'll say that's great. Do something different. Offer up experiences. Take your kids and expose them to what life is like in other parts of the country or the world. Go see the Grand Canyon. Go to Yellowstone National Park. Drive the Pacific Coast Highway from start to finish. Go to the theater, visit Maine, New Hampshire, or Vermont. Try Nashville and the Grand Ole Opry. Check out the Rockies. Visit Cape Cod. Go skiing out west. Build houses for Habitat for Humanity. Expose your kids to changing the world. Go to a cooking class, learn a new skill, take your kids to Europe or South America. Dare yourself to do something different. Do something that allows you to be free of the China grip, because that's what it is. We have made ourselves dependent on China. We have moved all our manufacturing, and by the way, our pharmaceutical production as well, to other parts of the world, and now we're being held hostage. Okay, enough of me ranting. But it's true. Give your kids experiences for the holidays. This morning, stocks around the world are up. Taiwan surging ahead by 2.5%. Japan up 1.8%. Hong Kong up 1.4%. China up 0.4%. Australia up 0.7%. And South Korea gaining 0.9%. Beijing is finally addressing the Evergrande issue, saying it's a unique situation. No one needs to worry about it. The rest of the real estate sector is just fine. So nothing to see here. Move on. Very much like they did with COVID. Nothing to see here. Move on. How'd that work out for you? In any event, European markets are also on a tear, right? Corporate earnings are driving the sentiment now, and European investors are taking stocks higher even as they digest rising inflation readings across the Eurozone. Today, France reported that September inflation readings fell by 2% month over month, but rose by nearly 3% year over year. At 6:15, we're seeing the FTSE up 0.2, the CAC 40 is up 0.5%, the DAX is up 0.5%, Eurostoxx up 0.6%, Spain and Italy both up 0.6%. U.S. futures are up again today as we await another round of earnings from the likes of PNC, Goldman, Coinbase, Schwab, and TFC. And in fact, TFC already reported, and they beat the estimates. I fully expect that we're going to hear more beats today and better guidance, blah, blah, blah. That's what we're going to hear. Trust me, that's what we're going to hear. Dow futures are up 138 points this morning. S&P's up 16. The Nasdaq's up 50. The Russell's up 10, right? As the excitement continues to build. Economic data today is full of reports. Empire Manufacturing expected 25 is the reading. Advanced retail sales month over month expected to be down 0.2%. Makes no sense. Ex-autos and gas of plus 0.5%. Ex-autos of plus 5, and ex-autos and gas of plus 4. Business inventories of plus 0.6. University of Michigan sentiment 73.1, and 1-year inflation expectation of 4.7, and a 5-year inflation expectation of 3%. Oil up again, trading at $82 a barrel after the Saudis and OPEC told Joey they are not increasing production until the new year, as planned. Until then, the International Energy Agency tells us that the crisis will continue to push up natural gas and oil prices, and that demand for oil will increase by 500,000 barrels a day, resulting in a gap of 700,000 barrels a day through year end. And that's too bad, because we got plenty of oil in this country. We could really help on the supply issues, but that's a whole nother story. In any event, yesterday's action is suggesting that investors appear to be okay with what they heard on all fronts. And while they're all screaming about supply chain issues, it is not stopping them from jumping into the pool. Bitcoin this morning is trading at 59,000. It did trade above 60 overnight. Ethereum is at 3,700. This as the SEC is about to allow Bitcoin futures ETFs to trade as the deadline looms next week. And this is a watershed moment for the industry. They've been fighting the SEC for years now. Gensler, SEC chair, is going to allow this and going to allow it to proceed because Invesco and ProShares, two of the companies designing these ETFs, are using mutual fund rules which provide significant investor protections. So it's big news for the industry. So sit tight. This is not the time to sell your Bitcoin and Ethereum. You might want to buy more, but it's not the time to sell it. Whatever. The S&P ended the day at 44.38, right at the day's high, so we can expect another push higher. Just like when it closes on the day's lows, we expect another push lower on the next day. Last night's close puts us up and through the 50-day moving average, which was trendline resistance. It's important to see how it closes tonight, right? Will we continue to move higher, or will we rally during the day and then fall as morning turns to afternoon? 44.36 is now the key to watch. Because it was resistance, now it's become support. The upside now, 45.50, which is the yearly high. Remember, you can text the word invest to 21,000 to get to your cell phone to get my digital business card. Feel free to download. It's got all my information on it. You can email me, text me, even give me a call. I'm happy to engage and talk to you about markets, planning, thoughts, concerns, ideas, issues, supply chain issues. Look, you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Kenny Polcari and on Instagram at KennyP1961, right? So what are we having for dinner tonight? This is that delicious veal cacciatore, right? It's a typical Sunday dish. You want to make it. It literally means veal prepared hunter style. The cacciatore is a hunter, right? And the hunter prepared his meals usually with braised chicken or rabbit, garlic, tomatoes, onions, bell peppers, mushrooms, peas. They season it with oregano, basil, wine, and salt and pepper. In today's recipe, I'm using veal stew, which is the top round of the veal cut into bite-sized pieces, right, in place of the chicken or the rabbit. You can make it with either. I'm using veal today. You're going to start by sauteing crushed garlic and some olive oil. So get a big, heavy bottom pan, put the olive oil, add the garlic. Now add the seasoned veal pieces, right? You season it with salt and pepper. You want to brown the veal. Right? You don't want to cook it all the way through because it will cook in the sauce. So you just want to brown the veal pieces. Once you brown the meat, remove it and just put it on a platter. Let it sit there for a minute. Now you're going to add the sliced onions and the bell peppers. Maybe you use 2 large onions, 1 green, 1 red bell pepper. If you like the orange and yellow ones, you can feel free to use those also. It makes it very colorful. Add in the sliced mushrooms. Saute until soft. 10, 15 minutes maybe. Season it with salt and pepper. Once you do that, once it's up, remove all that from the pot. Put it with the veal. Now add 2 cans of kitchen-ready crushed tomatoes. Not puree, just crushed tomatoes. Then add 1 can of water and 1 cup of red wine. That's optional, but you can always add it. It makes it great. Season it with salt and pepper. Bring it to a boil. Add the oregano and the fresh basil. Bring it to a boil and then turn it down to simmer. Once you turn it down to simmer, you're going to add everything back in. The veal, the onions, the peppers, the mushrooms, and 1 bag of frozen peas. Let it simmer for 45 minutes, stirring it occasionally. At this point, it's done. But like I said, the longer it simmers, the better it is. And if you let it cool and you refrigerate it until the next day, it's even better. It's like you died and went to heaven. When you're ready to cook it, now you're going to bring a pot of salted water to a rolling boil. You're going to add your pasta. For this, you want a spaghetti or a fusilli. You want something long. You don't want a short pasta. You want a long pasta. Cook it for 8 to 10 minutes until it's al dente. Drain, reserving a mug full of water. You know the deal. Return it to the pot. Add that a little bit of the water just to moisten. Let it sit for a minute. Absorb the water. Now you're going to add 3 or 4 ladles of the sauce and toss. Right? You want to add fresh grated cheese. Locatelli Romano works great with this. So put it in there. Toss it again so it's all coated. Right? When you serve this, you want to serve it in bowls. You can either serve it with the veal pieces right in the pasta, or you can put the veal pieces on the side and let people take it as they want. You can serve just the pasta with the sauce or the pasta with the veal pieces. I like to serve the pasta with the veal pieces because I think it makes it that much better. Right? It's so good. Anyway, you should drink a nice red wine with this. So use a red wine maybe that you cook. Now this, I would use a lighter red wine like a Chianti because it's simple, right? And this was a simple dish. It was about the hunter out in the field making this dish over an open fire. So it's not about big expensive red wines. It's about simplicity. So a nice table wine, a nice Chianti goes perfect with this. In any event, the day is about to get started. You see the sun has just come up while I've been doing this. It is Friday. It's going to be a beautiful weekend here in South Florida. You all take good care. And until then, I'll see you on Monday.